Before we get started with today's interview, just a quick reminder, click the thumbs up, make sure you subscribe and ding the bell so that you don't miss any of the great interviews that we have coming up. Now, on to today's interview. Welcome back, everybody. Today, my guest is Diane Hidy. Her piece on the new National Federation of Music Clubs Festivals list is Kittens at Play. You can find it in her book, Attention Grabbers, Book 1, available from fine music retailers near you. Welcome, Diane. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
So this is a really fun piece, and it gives students a first opportunity to play some accompanying notes underneath the melody, and we also have a fermata. So talk to us about what we should be teaching our students when we're practicing Kittens at Play.
First of all, Kittens at Play is another one of the pieces that I have written that has pickups. And this is another piece where the pickups appear on the line they belong with musically. So da-ga-dee-dun-da, ya-dum, boom, boom. Then next line. Da-ga-dee-dun-da. It doesn't go da-da-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-da-da. Right. So I think part of this, what I like to do with this piece, actually, I like to play it with my student and just play one part and have them play the other hand. So I might just have them go da-ga-dee-dun and mark in all the places where it goes da-da-dee-dum, and then have them just play that, and I'll play the other hand, and then I switch roles. I like to do a lot of things like that. There are some interesting things about, if you just look at this as just a random copy I had sitting there where I had color-coded things, but do you see how there's this place in the middle where it's pink? Well, the reason it's pink is that's because it's where the left hand gets the da-ga-dee-da-dee-da-da-dum, right? It's going to be falling down. And I wanted my student to make sure they really noticed, oh, wow, the left hand's going to do this whole thing. But another thing that's a little bit different about attention grabber pieces is there are no rests written in unless they actually function. So, for instance, at the end of this section right here, that's the only time we have a quarter rest, even though in standard notation, there would have been rests in the other hand. I find that distracts students' eyes from following the notes back and forth. So they only get a rest where they actually have to not play and then play at a certain time after that while this is being held down. For my students, especially the ones that have attention issues, I found that made it much less visually confusing. And if you just look at the standard way things are printed with all of those extra rests, rests are really designed to tell you when to play something, right? The whole point of a rest is to tell you either to be quiet or to come back in. But if it's just a single line of music, they don't really perform a whole lot of service. So that was one of the changes that I made in this book, was getting rid of everything that could be possibly not really necessary. And I have to tell you, I've never had a student say, oh gosh, I wish I had some more rests in here. They just don't even notice it. And I don't even know that the teachers necessarily notice it, because your eye just follows things through. But it does make it easier for the students. And yeah, in this particular piece, you actually do have your own little boom, boom accompaniment of just a second, which is very easy to do. But basically, it's just a simple piece. It's just a simple piece in C5 finger position that has some little moments of drama. And that's why there's a fermata in there, and you get to do a big retard. And, in all of these pieces, every time there's a hand position change, they're almost always notated where it'll say, move left hand up, move right hand down, just as an extra way to help students remember when they're supposed to move, because these are pieces that are at a level where many pieces won't have them moving around. And I personally think that kids need to move as much as possible. They need to move their hands just like they need to move their bodies. So I do a lot of moving things around, even at very, very low levels. Part of what makes it, I think, more interesting to play.
That makes perfect sense. Is there anything else you would like us to know about Kittens at Play?
I don't think so. Just play the accompaniment. It's always useful to play the accompaniments. They make the pieces sound bigger, more important, and they also give students a chance to play with you so that you aren't the corrector, you're the collaborator, and that's a much better role.
Totally agreed. My guest today has been Diane Hidy. Her piece on the new National Federation of Music Clubs Festivals list is Kittens at Play. You can find it in her book, Attention Grabbers Book 1, from fine music retailers near you. Thank you so much for being here today, Diane.
You're welcome.